Hello and welcome to the OverShadow ShadowCast with your host Thomas Anderson and Abigail Mott.
Hi everybody, welcome back.
So, what have you been doing this week?
Well, this week I played a little bit of Portal, and I find it incredibly frustrating. Much more than Cube 2. Especially the ones where you have to jump and then shoot right below you, and there's a constant loop, to the point where I actually got very dizzy.
Oh yeah, they're great.
No, they're not.
The loop ones where you're just falling forever.
Yeah.
You hit terminal velocity. And then everything terminates.
Yeah. But we played a little bit of Fallout 76 as well.
Yeah, part of the free E3 stuff.
What did you think of it? To be perfectly honest, when we went in to play it, I thought it was going to be a lot worse than it actually was. I found it okay.
Yeah, the main problem with it is that there's nothing really to do. Like, you can run around and kill stuff, and you can run around and do some crafting, and the shooting feels kind of okay, but it's not, there's nothing saying this is going to get interesting, it's going to get good. The enemies are one note. They don't do anything interesting. They just sort of like run up to you and either hit you or shoot you or bite you. That's it. I noticed that when I was killing enemies, the game also has this weird fraction of a second where it has to take into account the fact that you've shot them. So that there's several times where I made the mistake of thinking something was dead when it wasn't, or wasn't dead when it was.
Yeah, and also because you can play with other people, there were things there that I could see that you couldn't, and vice versa.
Yeah, that wasn't inherently a problem until the things which I should have been able to see weren't there, and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know, instancing is fine as long as you know what's happening is an instance effect, but not when you can't tell between an instance effect and just it not working properly.
Yeah, I didn't think it was all that bad.
Yeah, but what was good about it?
I quite like the intro, that story element to it. I thought that was quite fun.
Yeah, but that's it. If you want a good story, play New Vegas, Fallout 3, Fallout 4 even so far, even though I've not finished it. But that's the end of the story for Fallout 76.
I also find the fact that because it's an online player and you see loads of other players running around, it kind of takes away from the immersion.
Online game with other players.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's one thing if you're playing like Star Trek or something like that. That doesn't take you out of the immersion because, well, there would be loads of other, I was about to say stormtroopers there, whoops. There'd be loads of...
Yeah, you can factor in that there would be in an entire fleet lots of
Yeah,
officers.
but it's like trying to... If you were going to play Halo with somebody else.
And there was...
Loads of other people.
400 Master Chiefs running around. You'd be like, we've already won this war, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, so that really does take it, especially when part of the story is that this Vault 76 only has so many people in it.
They tried to cover that up by saying it's like they've had lots of babies, so it's fit to bursting and all the rest of it, but it doesn't quite make sense, does it?
No.
Like, we put away the geniuses of the world, right? And so that they would be safe to come out 25 years later. If you put away the geniuses of the world, they're at bare minimum 50 years old by the time the door opens. So it's their kids that have come running out.
Yeah.
And that's not how it works. Intelligence doesn't necessarily pass like that.
No, it does not.
So, and then they try and say all the people in the world, they're probably just the other adventurers. If you've grown up with people, how likely are you to just walk by them without a word or open fire on them as soon as you see them? Like, I'm not talking about people you were stuck at school with. I'm talking about people that you actually grew up seeing every day. Like, day to day outside of that sort of environment. Like, walking past your house and stuff.
Yeah, so that kind of threw it for me.
Yeah, and I know there's not much more story to it because people complained about it. There's no NPCs in the whole game. You never talk to a person.
Yeah, that's right. I remember you saying that, yeah.
So how can... The story just can't go that far. Talking to robots that are constantly going, Mr. Tommy! A story can only go so far when every conversation starts with that.
So yeah, that was Fallout 76. But what else did we play this week?
We played...
For a fair few hours.
The Division 2.
Yes.
Now that...
That was really good.
Yeah, that was good.
That was a lot of fun. To the point, how many hours did we actually end up playing that for? We started about 6:30, and we ended up at 11:30. So we were playing that for 5 hours.
Yeah, and I'd never noticed it.
Neither did I.
No.
I didn't even notice it getting dark outside.
No, it was really, really good. One of the things I remembered thinking yesterday night.
Do you mean last night?
Yeah, was the loot system. Like, you got a decent amount of loot, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas in Fallout, we played for 2 hours and we were still just getting pipe pistols.
Yeah, that wasn't great, but in this one you got decent stuff.
Well, you got even decenter stuff.
I was about to say that. It was like a repeat of Star Trek Online.
Yeah, you got all the great loot. Eventually, I got a shotgun as well.
Yeah.
But when we both pulled rifles out at the end of a mission, I had this bullpup rifle, right? Tiny little thing. And you had a full-size scoped sniper rifle.
It was red.
Could you not have shared your other weapon with me, the previous rifle you had? Could you not have given me that?
Yeah, I was going to do that, but then the game decided to...
That was the problem.
There was a lot of glitches, actually. There was. You can't deny that.
No, but they were immaterial until that one.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you're right.
No,
there was another one.
That one where you...
Yeah. My screen blacked out and it took me ages to load in. But you were saying that you could see me while we were playing, but my screen was still black. And then when eventually I did get in, I couldn't hurt any of the enemies and they were shooting me through cover.
Yeah, and I was trying to defend you. However, some of the enemies weren't taking any damage when I was shooting at them.
So you could harm some of them. I couldn't harm any of them.
Yeah, that was incredibly difficult, that part. And we were getting so frustrated with each other. I was getting frustrated with you because you kept saying, help me. I was like, I can't.
Yeah. I wasn't getting frustrated with you because I knew what was happening.
It sounded like you were getting frustrated with me.
I was getting frustrated with the game because I couldn't do anything.
Yeah, and then the game decided to... I don't know what's actually happened, so I've not checked that yet because I had to switch off my console.
Oh, yeah, when it was your turn, your game just froze.
The actual screen just froze. I was able to get back to the home screen.
And shut it down.
Yeah, but as soon as I came back in, I was still stuck. I just went to a black screen.
Yeah, you couldn't load the game back up.
But hopefully it saved my progress. Hopefully I don't have to save it myself.
Well, when I went to log out, it was doing some stuff, but I don't think it would necessarily take your loot off you.
I really hope not, because that was some great loot I got.
Yeah.
Unless people start the game from the beginning again, and that way we won't even kilter if we play again.
I'll have to think about it, because I reckon you'll be fine.
But I'm just saying if I'm not.
Right.
Because that wouldn't be fair.
Well, if you have to start the game from the start, I'll start as well.
Yeah.
But if you don't, and it's just repeat that one mission, then...
That's fine.
We'll just repeat the one mission.
Yeah, and hopefully that doesn't happen again.
Yes. But apparently, I've been hearing around the Watakula that they might be making Division 2 free to play. And I can see that happening because they've got this year one pass that's there for 33 quid. I just can't see them releasing a game saying buy this for 60 quid or whatever, and then release a 30 or 35 quid expansion every year. That's more likely to be, here's a free to play game, and then pay 35 quid a year to get the upgrades that they release. Because
what I did say a fair few times to the game was, this is far better than Rainbow Siege 6.
Rainbow Six Siege.
Rainbow Six Siege.
I disagree with you on that. It's just that you didn't have the time necessary to get used to that game.
I still didn't like it.
Why?
Because I find this game a lot easier to manage just with the controls and things like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell you, is that that's why you didn't get a fair chance at that. And that's understandable, because it's very difficult.
But I got a little ball I could chuck away and it would find the enemies and blow up.
Yeah, so we picked a special ability and I went with the turret and you went with the seeker ball. And what was hilarious is that occasionally it wouldn't track an enemy and it would just follow you around.
If there was no enemies to track, it would just follow me.
Yeah, that was funny.
But I liked the create your character feature, apart from the fact that we all had big ears.
The character design.
Characterization, yeah.
Character design and personalization. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I thought that was really good. there's a limited number of faces, but that just speeds the process up.
Yeah, but sometimes if you have too much, then you can be stuck there for like a half an hour designing all your characters. Designing your character, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's what it's like in The Sims. I spent like an hour designing all my characters and then eventually play. But yeah, I would recommend Division 2.
Yeah, the Division 2. It looks really good. Do you know what the good thing is? There's a Division 1.
Is it as fun as that?
I don't know. I've never played the first one. I really wanted to. I was very upset when I found out that Division 1 was a online multiplayer game. But I think a big part of that was because I thought there was an online multiplayer game where you were fighting other people the whole time.
Yeah.
And it's not. They're actually enemy combatant NPCs. So I'm a bit more interested now, if I'm being honest. Like, I really enjoyed what we did yesterday. I thought it was really fun. And we worked quite well as a team.
Yeah, as soon as I got into the swing of things. There were a few hiccups here and there where, somebody went for some stairs that the other person said go for. Turns out it was another set of stairs, and then they got very angry at me because I went for the wrong set of stairs.
Well, it wasn't angry at you until you started shouting, "Oh my god, I'm in trouble!" And I'm like, yeah, of course you are. You've gone the wrong way. You've ran at both the extremely high-leveled enemies and not up the defensive position.
I didn't die, though.
No, but that's because I had to shoot one of them in the head while you were running around.
I meant through the game. I didn't die through the game.
No, neither of us died, no.
Well, you did, but I think that was because of a glitch. I had to revive you.
Oh, that's just a down. That's not dead.
Oh.
I got downed because of that glitch, but no, neither of us got killed.
But I like the story. The story's really good.
I think you like the idea of let's come together and not get killed by all these weird people that are running around.
Yeah, because this Tom Clancy, that's a novel. He's a novelist, isn't it? Sorry. So all these games based on his books, yeah?
No.
Oh.
He sold the rights to, I think, one of his books or something like that, and his name, or maybe his movies. And so they became such a big thing that if you attach his name to something, it's sort of like a genre now of game.
Ah, right, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes. Anyway, shall we move on to the news?
Yes, okay.
So these are not stories about E3. We're preparing our E3 roundup for next week. What we have at the minute is some stories that we wanted some time to debate. I think mostly from last week, actually, because it was an awful lot last week. So we got rid of the smaller stories and we've left some of the bigger ones now. So, evil dynamic difficulty slider at EA.
Would you care to elaborate?
I would not.
Then let's move on to the next story.
So this idea is that the EA are able to, or at least their games are able to, adjust the difficulty of a game while you're playing it. So if you're attempting something several times and not quite getting it, they make it easier. If you're attempting it and you're completing it too easily, they make it harder.
Okay.
It's basically to stop you from quitting or finding the game too easy. It's to keep you with a challenge.
Okay.
However, that obviously can be used in conjunction with loot boxes. So the software is able to analyse your play style and time. And say, for example, it knows that if you play for another 3 hours, you will definitely buy a loot box. What it'll do is it'll start to adjust the difficulty so that you're never left so frustrated you might leave the game or so bored from the lack of challenge that you might turn it off. So it just keeps you playing. Also, if it knows that if you lose, you'll buy a loot box to try and get a good piece of equipment before trying again, it'll just keep making it harder so that you have to buy a loot box.
That sucks.
Yeah. Not have to buy a loot box, but you have to because that's your pattern of behaviour.
Yeah.
So there's some suggestion that the EA could start to use this to affect games, basically, to make them worse as games but more profitable, because the game's difficulty is set based on your loot box behaviour as opposed to how well you're playing the game.
That's not right. That's 100% not right.
Yeah. So it's sort of like the downside to the difficulty slider. The dynamic difficulty slider I kind of like that a little bit, as long as the movement is only a small amount. But it does have that potential for abuse, basically, if they can adjust the difficulty on the fly, so that to get more money out of you through loot boxes and cosmetics and all the rest of it.
It's just that loot box thing again. I'm just kind of fed up of hearing that phrase, loot box.
Okay. Oh, why don't we
But
call
that's
it a
not-
booty chest?
But no, but you know what? I'm not saying like, oh, we should call it something else. I mean, I'm just sick of hearing stories
Yeah, I
about
know.
it.
I know.
Yeah, no, you're how they determine the difficulty should be on how you're playing, not by how much you're spending on loot boxes.
Or predetermined and not changed. But I just like the idea that they can change it to keep it challenging.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's why Division 2 is giving me good stuff, because it knows I'm terrible, so it's just trying to give me better weapons.
Maybe because you've not played a lot of games, it's seen a lot of games with a small number of hours played, so it's trying to give you good loot to keep you in it. Whereas with me, I've played a lot, so it knows I'll stick it out anyway.
Yeah, so maybe that's why.
Maybe I should be more.
Try to make you feel better.
Maybe I should be more fickle and more like a woman and just say to the Division 2.
And now that is not nice.
So for me, the concern is the abuse to try and make more money out of it.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the existence of dynamic difficulty.
No, that's fine. Because that would drive me crazy if I went to a game and it was just set on one kind of difficulty and I wasn't progressing at all. I quite like the idea that the game alters itself.
Slightly, yeah.
Because otherwise that wouldn't be fair, I don't think. Because the people who haven't played those kind of games a lot will lose interest automatically.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I did with Rainbow Six Siege.
Yes.
I got the name right.
Eventually.
Yes.
I mean, there is a lot to be said for just a naturally difficult game. And I don't want the game to just make it easier and easier and easier until I get through it by default. I still want to have achieved something.
Yeah.
But if it's just a small change every now and again and there's still a lower and upper limit, then yeah, it means the designers are still making the decision.
Yeah. Should we move on to the next story?
Yes, so the Halo CE port, that's the Halo Combat Evolved PC port made by Gearbox in 2002, is the base for the Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary game that came out in 2012, I think it was. Now, it's... now, do you remember playing that? Halo 1?
Yes.
Right. And do you remember how, if you switched back to the classic graphics, it was all just, grey and that was it?
Yeah, it was very matte, it was very boring, it wasn't detailed.
Now, apparently, that stuff was detailed. Remember I told you this? I said, this looked better when I played it before, but I thought it was the rose-tinted glasses of nostalgia.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It was better. Apparently, when they made the PC port, Gearbox made a mistake.
Alright.
With there was two mistakes that were made. One was a lighting issue which affected the bump mapping, and one was a transparent objects shader mistake. So what happened was the bump mapping doesn't work until you shine a light on a surface. If you turn the
Torch
flashlight
on,
on
yeah.
and point it at the wall, you can start to see the textures. But if you turn it off, it's just...
Yeah, because I remember telling you that it's so much darker in the older graphics. It's much lighter in the new ones.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if the light level is necessarily have anything to do with it, but if you turn the light on, you can suddenly see the textures on the wall. Like in the newer one, you've got all the patterns that carved into it.
Mm-hmm.
That they are there. It's just that you can't see them without the light.
We should go back and play that entire thing in the classic.
Have a look around more often, yeah. And the transparent object shader. Now, this was anything in the game that you have the ability to see through, right? Mm-hmm. So energy shields,
windows, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the deployable energy shield. That little.
The thing that you can deactivate for a little while if you shoot it enough times.
Yes.
Yeah.
And do you remember on the Truth and Reconciliation, the hangar bay has that shielded wall.
Which one was Truth and Reconciliation again?
Inside the alien ship.
No, I don't remember that off the top of my head.
It's the big room with 3 levels to it.
Okay, the one that's going out into space, that door.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
You fly a Banshee out of it.
Yeah.
that looks like a purple wall basically, whereas in the old one it actually looks like a energy shield wall. In fact, you can see the effect that it's had because the modern graphic version in the 5th mission, you look out a window and there's shadows everywhere like smoke. But that's because of how bad the transparency was. It was supposed to look like an energy shield, but it ended up looking like a piece of glass and smoke behind it.
Right.
So when they came to make the modern edition, they made a mistake because they got confused with what they were looking at.
Right, okay.
So because of this transparent objects mistake, what happens is the transparent objects look absolutely terrible because you can't see through them properly. They look much more solid.
Is this in the classic?
Yes. So if I was to go back and put on the copy I have from the original Xbox,
It would look different.
Look better than the one that we played.
Alright, you should show me that sometime.
At some
Unless
point,
they
yeah.
are going to update
Well,
unless they're going to put an update out.
This is the hope, is that because the MCC is working with actual players who make mods and who are willing to help them adapt the game,
Yeah.
that the hope is that some of the people who notice this mistake and who have developed mods to get rid of it or are developing them they'll be allowed to help 343 and say, look, there's a mistake here, this shouldn't look like this, so here's how you fix it.
Right, okay. It'd be good if they did release an update so that we could so I could properly see it as well.
Yeah.
Unless you show me.
I need to show you.
Me.
I need to show you that, yeah.
Show me.
Get off, you Triceratops. No, get off.
Why am I a Triceratops?
Let's get the idea that because of their horns and the defensive shield at the back of their head, they'd be headbutting a lot of stuff. Off. Anyway, yeah, it's interesting to see that mistake was made by Gearbox.
I'm more
apparently.
like a friendly cow that nudges.
No, when cows try to nudge you over, it's so they can stand on you.
No, they don't.
Yes.
No, they don't. They just nudge you sometimes if they want food.
No.
Yeah, they
It's
do.
a horse.
No, cows will nudge. Sheep will nudge.
Cows are trying to kill you.
No.
Cows are more dangerous than sharks.
Cows are fine. Cows are cute.
Cows are more dangerous than sharks.
That's not true.
Yes, it is.
No,
More people get killed by cows than they do by sharks.
Just about everybody gets... No. Hippos are more dangerous.
Yeah, but I'm not here saying hippos are fine. I'm just saying cows aren't. Cows are murderous.
I'm going to look this up now.
Personally, I think the dairy industry is self-defense. See that ambulance that we can hear in the background? That's another cow attack. America has gun violence problems. We've got rampant cows.
You are right.
Thank you.
On average, 5 people a year die from a shark attack, 20 people from a horse, and 22 people from a cow.
That's because I know it sounds
I'd
weird.
rather take my chances with a cow than a shark.
I know that sounds weird, but I think the big part of the problem is that people don't realise how dangerous cows are. But I think the other thing is that sharks actually don't want to go anywhere near a human. They don't really want to eat them.
No, it's sometimes a lot of tourist ships or boats go out and they like feed the sharks, and if they're getting used to being fed, then they see where the food is. Like if they're seeing that the food's coming from a hand, they tend to normally go for a hand or something like that. I remember seeing that. And also, sometimes sharks, if somebody's on like a surfboard or a boogie board or something like that, from down below it looks like a seal, and sharks will go for seals.
Yeah, that's why the surfboard attacks, because they don't realise there's a human on board.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently, if they have just a human and they're not used to being fed, at best they would bite a human to find out what it is.
If there was a stampede, I could see cows killing people.
No, what happens is they just surround the person and then crush them. Horses must be a stampede.
Well, you can like wildebeest and things like that stampede, and they're kind of like a cow. It's the same family.
Yeah, but it's not the same creature though, is it? I'm much faster than you.
And what I want to know is
example.
which type of cow it is. Is it a Jersey cow?
It's Frisians. Frisians are mental. See that stuff actually? That's camel. Right, so that's why the Halo CE port is a bit strange.
How did we get onto cow? Oh, I said I was like a friendly cow.
Yes.
Since you called me a triceratops.
Yes, so now we're going to move to developers versus publishers, and we're going to debate developers versus publishers. So, Obsidian versus publishers, bugs versus release date. So this story is in relation to Fallout New Vegas. When Fallout New Vegas came out in, I think it was 2009. So when Fallout New Vegas came out, it was developed by Obsidian, and they just decided to go mental, just make all the quests they wanted to make. It's one of the reasons why they have the best Fallout game. Even though it's Bethesda that usually make them, this is the one time they let somebody else do it since they bought the rights. And they went mental with the quests, and they put a lot of effort in. But the problem is there's a lot of bugs in that game. A huge number of bugs in that game.
What kind of bugs?
Like some are save deleting.
Oh, no.
Like it corrupts all your saves.
Oh, no.
So there's a huge number of bugs in there.
I'm shaking my head in disappointment. Shake, shake, shake.
Now here's the thing. The reason for this was, and Obsidian admitted it, they didn't know where their limits were, so they just went mental, and that's why they made some mistakes. But also, they didn't get extra time. The publisher wouldn't give them any more time before publishing it, before the release date. So they didn't have enough time, basically, to sit and fix it. So there is a trade-off between quest complexity and bug count in large RPGs. It's one of the reasons why there's so many bugs in them. But also, when a publisher says we're not giving you any extra time, if they've already got a deal in place, it means that they can't fix what's already there.
Yeah. They just have to go with it and hope for the best.
Yeah. So what do you think about that?
I think that people that make the game should be given time to make a good product. But I can see it from the publisher side as well. If they've put out like all this publicity and things like that, this is when it's going to get released, yada yada yada, and then they're told, oh, it's actually going to be longer. Then they say, well, we can't go back on it. We've already spent all this time publicity on it. Possibly there's shareholders that will lose out money. I can understand that. I can see it from both sides.
I think the solution is, especially in the modern age, people aren't quite like that anymore. They're not sitting there for months and months waiting for a specific date. There's too many other things to do. So I think they could get away with saying, look, we're going to release this. Like they just say, we're making this game, they put something out. We're making this game, we're putting something out. We're making this game, they put something out, right?
Yeah.
And then when it's ready to release, they say, right, it's releasing in 3 weeks.
Yeah, I don't think that they should give like a date.
Don't give a date.
Yeah.
I don't think it helps at all. It helps maybe with pre-order sale numbers. But you know what? Stuff pre-orders. Make your game properly.
Yeah, because the same with like movies and TV shows. They were told, oh, it's going to be coming out this year. And oh, no, it's actually going to be coming out next year because so-and-so's walked away from the project. Or it's like, well, do you know what? Just give us a rough guide. Don't give us an
Don't
exact...
even give us anything. Just say this is what you're making.
Yeah.
And then give us some trailers and some screenshots and whatever when they're ready.
Yeah, because I'll tell you what, right? And I'm bringing it back to television and things like that again. Nobody knew when the last series of Rick and Morty was going to air. I think the last one, it came out on April Fool's Day and everybody thought it was a joke. I don't even think there were trailers for it. They just really... And everybody was happy with that. So I don't understand why they wouldn't be happy with that happening with a game or something like that. Just one day, just walk into the shop, it's like, oh my god, it's out.
Well, I think that's maybe a bit late.
I know, but I'm just...
You've got a couple... You could easily... I know they're all worried about the monies, but you could easily just wait till it's made and then sell it a month later.
Yeah, and especially like if a game just ends up being absolutely terrible, you can just put it away quietly without anybody ever knowing there was a terrible game.
Well, no, because I'm suggesting that you advertise that you're doing it, you just don't give a release date.
Okay.
But also the fact is it costs way too much money to make a game. They would probably just release it anyway to try and get some of their money back.
Yeah.
The big thing about it is that it can cost a lot to increase the development of a game for a month if you didn't plan it. So that's why you shouldn't bother planning in a release date. But also, I think that it's very important that we stop a culture of releasing a game and fixing it later. Trying to get some of them, we need some money in, so we'll sell the game early to be able to pay for its development. I think that's only very rarely acceptable, and it's not from a big name.
Yeah.
A big developer or publisher. A lot of the cost of developing a game isn't just hiring the people, it's what they're doing. And if the game's finished, move them on to the next project. There's no loss of money from that.
No. Should we move on?
Yes. This is a deep question now. Have you prepared your soul?
I don't like Marmite, no.
Even deeper than that.
I really don't like Twiglets.
Even deeper.
I prefer brown sauce to ketchup.
Deeper. This isn't at the bottom of the barrel. This is underneath the barrel. This is the barrel itself. Should video games be apolitical? I don't mean apolitical or be not political. I mean apolitical.
That means they don't have any they don't have any ties to it or anything like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, they're not politically. Yeah, there's no political motivation.
There's no political agenda.
Or motivation or anything like that.
I don't think they should, because from a sales point of view, if you're going to make it one political, then you're going to be alienating a fair few groups of people that won't want to buy it.
Sorry, so you're saying they should be apolitical?
Yeah.
Right.
But what I will say is, loads of people read a lot of into things in anything. Some people always find a way of saying, oh, that's a reference to such and such, or this is showing support for such and such a party.
I think you're being too specific. Apolitical doesn't necessarily mean party politics. It could mean just like a question of transgender rights or something like that.
But that's what I mean. Sorry, I was just using party as an
okay.
example. Sorry, I should have said this agenda.
Right, okay. Okay.
However, I don't have anything against political games.
Deus Ex Human Revolution, right? It's about human augmentation. So we've developed fake arms and legs and eyes. Basically, if you think about people who've been in accidents.
Amputees, like that kind
Yeah,
of
or
thing.
diseases, but also people sometimes just optionally have their arms and legs removed for these superhuman ones, right?
Okay.
So that then leads to a question of, well, how do you regulate it? Because these people are now physically much stronger than the regular person. There's also the fact that you need to take medication, because it's basically a transplant. So in an American healthcare system where you're paying for all your healthcare needs, how do these people make sure they're able to pay for their medicines after their transplants?
Yeah.
Especially in the cases of people who didn't do it electively. That game, by its nature, without going into any more than just its setting, is political. You couldn't make that game without it having politics in it. I think that this question, I know this question, I wrote this one down because a lot of games journalists at the moment have been condemning games which either try to avoid politics or try to avoid basically what the Americans would refer to as progressive politics.
Yeah.
That you have a platform, then you have a right, you have to send out the right message. Anybody who is not using that platform to do that is essentially the devil. Essentially, they're as bad as the people.
They're what is it? Regressed politics, isn't it?
Conservative.
I'm just going to use the term regression in terms of things, but
don't think that
society
applies.
regression.
No, it's progressing and conserving. It's not.
Oh, okay.
But we don't call them that over here. We call them socialists. Because in America, socialist is a toxic term, so they don't use it. So they have to come up with something else. So they have liberal or they have progressive. Whereas, we haven't done the same thing to socialism, so we have socialist.
Okay. I've never really thought about that.
You not noticed that? Like
No.
the Americans think that socialism is...
I don't understand what socialism is. People have tried to explain it to me. I still don't understand.
Do you know why? Because it's been absolutely murked like you wouldn't believe by all the different rubbish that people like the Americans say.
I thought socialism... Somebody explained it to me once, that socialism is where everybody's completely equal. That's how somebody once explained it to me. And then I said that to somebody else and they said, no, that's not what that is.
That's communism.
Right.
Or equality. No, it's not.
Okay.
Socialism is the way I like to look at it, the way I would describe it if I had to, although it's very difficult.
Right, okay, well tell me then.
Is socialism is when you function as a unified society.
So everybody has the same opinion, basically.
No, you function as a unified society, not a...
harmonious society.
No, that's not even the word I would go with. It's more like... I can't think of the word now. Like a clone society, everybody does and says the same thing. It's not like that.
Right.
It's not like that at all. I can't remember the word I'm looking for.
Well, you'll remember it. Just
but
think
the
of something
point
else.
is that it's about... So, for example, I think it was John Stewart that said that there is no government on earth that isn't socialist, because all governments interfere with society, because it's the design. The society forms the government, makes decisions, and then basically puts them into play to affect society.
Yeah.
Like, you tax behaviours that you don't want to see people do, like drinking or smoking, and you de-tax or untax, or whatever the phrase is, remove the tax, lower the tax on behaviours you want to see.
Yeah. It's like when people say they want to tax sugar.
Yeah, tax sugar, but remove VAT on bicycles.
Yeah.
That would be it. But the Americans conflate socialism with the Nazis or the Soviets.
Yeah, okay.
Because they called themselves socialist.
Even though they weren't.
But they're not. That would be like a rabbit calling itself a dog. It's not. You know? The same. I find it very strange that in America, the same people that would deny a person, I say for example, transgender woman, I'm a woman. No, you're a man pretending to be a woman. They would say that, but if they don't, they're not able to point out that the Nazis were pretending to be socialists.
Yeah. Okay.
I find that very strange. Sorry, I made a weird waving motion with my hand.
It just reminded me of the film Bride and Prejudice when you were doing that.
I take it that's a sort of Indian dance manoeuvre.
No, one of the lines from it is "There's no life without wife," and he turns his hand when he says that. That just reminded me of that part of the film.
Right, okay. Is it set in India?
Yeah, it's basically like a modern. It's you know, like what's the word? There's an actual word for like an Indian musical, and I cannot remember what it's called. Bollywood. It's a Bollywood, kind of like a Bollywood film, Bollywood version of Pride and Prejudice. It's really good. I highly recommend it. I laughed so much throughout the entire movie. I think it's also made by the same lady that directed Bend It Like Beckham, and was it Baji on the Beach or something like that?
Baji on the Beach?
I think that's what it's called.
Oh, that could end disastrously.
I feel really bad now in case that's the wrong. I need to look this up.
Drop an onion, Baji on the Beach.
I need to look this up. Yeah, Baji on the Beach.
Where were we? I was explaining socialism. Yeah, we're quite heavily social. I mean, we pay for healthcare, we pay for prescriptions. You don't even park at hospitals anymore or pay to do it. We pay for education.
Do you mean a tax? What do you mean we pay for education?
No, the government.
Oh, right. I was like, I'd have not paid for a prescription.
That's what I'm saying.
Since I was a child.
It's covered in taxes. Yeah. I personally refer to that stuff as free, and this is why. The government would tax you anyway, but it's nice that they're giving you it back. Like, no government isn't going to tax you if it thinks it can get away with it. But the point is that they then, it's how they spend that tax money, and they choose to do it in ways that benefit the people, as opposed to cutting tax for the rich.
Yeah. So
I call it free because you're paying that money anyway. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Just think about how much you pay in tax per year, and then think about like if one of your family members is, is diabetic or asthmatic or some sort of severe health illness or complaint or something like that. Imagine how much you would actually spend if you spend on hospital bills and medication. So in fact, you're saving yourself money if you want to look at it that way. If you pay X amount of tax.
So gastrointestinal cancer is $250,000.
Is it?
Mm.
So if you're only paying like £100 I don't know how tax works. I don't know how much people pay in tax. But I know like millionaires are complaining that they have to pay, like $100,000 in tax a year or something like that.
No, they have to pay more than that.
I know, sure. But I'm like, I don't know.
Or the difference between increasing it and lowering it.
Yeah.
Well, I think here's the thing. In America, Amazon made, I think a report I read was 11.2 billion in profit, but paid zero in tax because of the way that it's set up its system.
Yeah.
That's around about, if you were to fairly tax that at about 1/3 to 40%, that's about 4 billion, right?
Yeah.
Maybe 3 billion. That's a lot of gastrointestinal cancer you're treating for free with that. So, I mean, even just talking about whether or not games should be political, you can't actually avoid politics.
No. But I mean, like, you can't... I would...
But I think this is the problem. You're disagreeing with the point I put forward that games should have to push a certain agenda. I also disagree with that.
Okay. Yeah, like you can't go out...
Like if you were
Just take a topic.
No, don't. Pick a party. It makes the point better.
Yeah, if you took a party into, like, say, like the greatest party in the world or something like that. Like
Yes.
Basically where you're playing as a candidate trying to work their way up to, like...
That might even work if you did have a game like that and you could pick the party and the policies that you were running off.
Oh, that'd probably be quite fun.
That would be kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But the point is, if it was just a game like Deus Ex and in the background they had picked out parties in the Senate and they had decided which ones were going to be the good guys and the bad guys and who was going to do this and who was going to do that, right?
Yeah.
And made it obvious there was a good guy and a bad guy when it came to the two parties in the American system, that wouldn't work because people would start to look at it and say, well, this is just a propaganda piece now.
Yeah.
Right?
I was just laughing at the Handmaid. I think they made a Handmaid's Tale the game.
How would that work for forcing politics on you?
Like if you work as a candidate and your aim is to create the world of the Handmaid's Tale.
Oh right, okay, I see what you mean. Right, yeah.
Like,
I played a game called Democracy 3 where I was the Prime Minister and you just set policies and try to get re-elected.
it was where people like frolicking in the fields with, like, you know, the white robes on, everybody like dancing in a circle.
No.
Children laughing in the street.
No, I was pretty good. I did all the stuff. I ended up with a huge surplus of like 11 trillion.
Yeah.
And I got re-elected every time.
Yeah. I would also like to point out I don't find the world of The Handmaid's Tale funny.
I don't really care.
Just in case somebody thought that, I do not. I find it quite distressing.
I don't really care. What we need to do is get back to should games be political. And what I was trying to say there was, you say that they shouldn't have politics, but I think that's because what you're trying to say is they shouldn't force a specific agenda.
Yes.
I agree. They shouldn't force a specific agenda. What they should do is put forward a political issue.
And they can work on that.
And then, and then you set out the good and bad on both sides of the argument and make you decide. Either as a person or in-game you have to decide.
Yeah.
That's how they should do it.
Yeah, that sounds okay.
They shouldn't have this system of forcing a specific agenda.
Yeah.
And I think that's where games just lose people.
Yeah.
Also, let's be honest, the specific agenda that people want to force is the woke agenda, and there's an awful lot of very good people that don't listen to the woke agenda because it basically surmounts to you can't have fun amounts to you can't have fun anymore.
What do you mean a woke agenda?
You know, the hyper woke agenda where everything that could possibly be said is offensive, therefore you can't say it.
Yeah, I remember. I just can't remember there what you said. I know you have explained this to me in the past.
I mean, that's just that's what people think of when they think of forcing a political agenda.
Yeah.
Or they think of Nazis and communists, and it's basically the same thing. You can't force your agenda on people. Just tell a story and let people at home decide.
Yeah, because I'll tell you this, right? It was, I won't go say like who it was, but somebody told me that they were at a train station roughly around the time of the independence referendum.
Yeah.
And they asked them, you know, what do you think? And they said what they were going to vote.
Uh-huh.
And this person just started laying into them, like actually very aggressively almost shouting at them. This person was like early 20s. Late teens, early 20s. I'm like, how, you know, and this person was like a 40 to 50-year-old man.
You're not helping anybody by forcing it down their throat. You have to give them the positions and let them make the decision for themselves. Basically, the game should lay out the setting and the options, and that should be it.
Yeah. Should we move on to our last story for today?
Yeah. So, as we know, Bungie freed itself from the evil of Activision Blizzard.
Yes. Whoa, are you okay there?
Yeah, sorry.
I'm having a stroke or something.
I was just taken over by the will of...
Talking in tongues.
But no, it wasn't tongues. It was supposed to be angelic, cathedral-like music.
I hate to
When was the last time you were in a cathedral with an angel?
Please go on Britain's Got Talent.
Yes.
Or the X Factor.
What's your talent? I'm a living piano.
Wow, if you think that's what piano sounds
I'm being
like.
played really badly.
I'm an out-of-tune piano.
Yes.
Now for my impression of a broken trumpet.
This is a trumpet that I dropped in custard. So, as we know, Bungie freed themselves. Praise be. That means that they now have control of Destiny, because they remember when they left Microsoft, or they stopped working with Microsoft, they had to leave Halo behind.
Yeah, and it's also
So-
started raining. Sorry, in case you hear that.
Yeah. So when they moved to Activision to do Destiny, they made sure that they could get out with Destiny. Activision also, nobody else could make Destiny, so what's the point in them keeping it? But they got out knowing that they could do that, right?
Okay,
So
that's good.
They've got the Destiny IP. Now I don't know if this extends to Destiny 1. I hope it does, because it's the only thing that makes sense. But they now have the publishing control over Destiny 2. So they're now making it free to play.
Woo!
It'll be called New Light, which I think suits with the angelic piano playing that I was attempting.
If you think so.
And I think that they've made a big effort to smack Activision in the face and be like, we're not going to do it the way they did it. So what they're going to do instead is release Destiny, or Destiny 2, maybe a Destiny 3 if there is one, free to play.
Yeah.
And then every year they'll release an expansion pack for it, like hopefully 15 to 20 quid, but it might be up to 30. And they'll release these expansion packs.
Heaven's not happy with your singing. That's the wrath of God you've brought on us.
Yeah.
Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Flood.
So they'll release expansion packs every year.
Rained for 40 days and 40 nights because Tommy was singing and he refused to stop. So I went on for another
10 hours later.
40 days and 40 nights. I don't understand how people can actually like that noise.
I love it.
I really don't.
I love it.
I like it if I'm like cuddled up on the couch with a blanket and a hot cup of tea. But you see, if you're trying to fall asleep, no.
But I never did any sailing, right? I did some rowing, and I absolutely adored when you're around water. Just like, you know, normally when you're not, you would try to stay dry. But
Yeah.
see, when you're in water deliberately and you're trying to get, basically, it doesn't matter if you get wet. It's kind of liberating. It's like when we did the waterboarding experience up near Stirling.
See, it heard you like it. He heard you liked it, and he stopped it.
Yeah. Praise be to Bungie. So what they'll be doing, like, to get back to the point, is that they'll be releasing expansions. They haven't said how much the expansions will be.
But the basic game is going to be free.
I think everything they've released so far will be made free.
Three.
Made free.
Yeah, okay.
And the expansions from here on in will be...
Money.
Yeah. I think that's okay. I think that if the Destiny content is really good and they add somewhere in the region of 20 to 40 hours, I think 20 to 30 quid a year would be fine. Because if that's what a 40 hour experience, I can pay that for a 40 hour experience, right?
Yeah.
And there's been some question about whether or not they can afford to finance the game. Well, there will be cosmetics, but you can do cosmetics well. You can do them well.
Yeah.
But do you want to spend a £5 on this thing? As long as you're saying, look, it's totally optional, you don't need to, it's just £1 for this coloration for your, do you want to buy it? People are okay with that.
Yeah.
Especially if the game is free. It's when you attach like a 20 quid shader to a 60 quid game and they're like, what is this? They've also apparently received $100 million renos from a Chinese company. Now,
All right.
here's the thing. I think this is because they're altering Destiny to make it playable in China. I think that's what that money's for. Now, if that happens and they can get it into China, we don't have to worry about Destiny 2 or 3 or 4 ever again. Because that market is so big,
Yeah, it is.
it'll cover it.
Yeah. I hope so.
Cover it completely. So
You're happy.
I'm quite happy.
You're a happy little boy.
Yeah, but what I really want is for them to make Destiny 1 free to play. Because it makes sense. Or cut the price. 50 quid for the full game is ridiculous at this point, you know? Just say like 20 or 15 or something. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Maybe even 30, but 50? It's getting ridiculous. And there's some people that will not play 2, or if there's another one, 3, until they've played the previous stuff. So you've got to do it. If you want people into your Destiny 2, give them 1 as well.
Yeah.
It's just... I know they're maybe frightened of giving too much free content away, but they need to do... They need to. You can't just sit there with Destiny, unless they don't have the publishing rights to 1.
Yeah.
Because that game's considered finished, so maybe they're not allowed to do anything. But then they should re-release it. If they've still got the IP, re-release the first one.
Yeah. Well,
See,
God
is furious that he can't play Destiny 1 for free.
Should we finish this before the rain
I
gets
want
any
your
heavier?
opinion on Destiny 2.
Yeah, great. It's free.
No. Give me your opinion on...
I'll play it.
Well, we need to play the first one first, because there's a story. That's the problem.
Okay, well, I'll do that.
Can anybody hear me?
That's what I'm saying. Can we please wrap this up? Because I don't know if that's going to get any heavier than it is.
If it gets any heavier, you're going to hear a we're going to die in a hail of glass bullets.
And rain.
That will not kill you. The glass bullets will.
Yeah, sounds great. Yeah, like you say, if they manage to break China's market, then you don't have to worry about anything.
If I'm being honest with you, it's like, do you know Halo? It's kind of like the shooting's a bit like that.
Okay.
And you get the good loot system like you did in Division 2.
Okay, great.
So I think you'd enjoy it.
Okay, well, I hope you've enjoyed listening to us today, and sorry about this rain that's happened right at the very end here.
I'm not sorry at all. I'm really enjoying it. And I hope that you enjoyed this too.
If you'd like to subscribe to our channel, that'd be fantastic. You can also hit that like bell to be notified of when we upload.
I'll stop you there. I know she's getting very confused by the rain. She's trying to rush this, but I know for a fact it's not a like bell. It's...
Notification bell.
No, yeah.
If you like the video, hit the notification bell. If you'd like to leave a comment, that would be brilliant. You can find us on Facebook at OverShadow.ShadowCast. And
hurry up! They're coming! They're coming!
And you can email us at OverShadow. And you can email us at OverShadow.ShadowCast@gmail.com. I think that's everything.
Did you say Facebook?
Yes.
Good.
So I will say bye-bye and be prepared for this horrific weather. I'm going to have to stay here for a little bit, I think, before I can get a lift back home.
Aye.
Because I cannot walk out in this.
Yeah.
Like every week, this week I prepared for hot weather. I wore a dress, and now we've got this.
Hailstones, and I think, if I'm being honest, your best bet for getting home would either be a gigantic paraglider or a boat or the Hindenburg.
Yeah.
It's something to stop the rain as you get into it.
Yeah. So I'll say bye-bye.
I'll say bye-bye as well.
Bye-bye.